Hi guys, Pete Turner here. It's been over 2 years since I last uploaded a video to this channel, and the initial aim with the vlog series was to share with you a series of techniques, secrets and ideas that I developed on my journey as a mentalist. And unfortunately life got in the way. I started traveling a lot more and I couldn't commit to making videos, so I'm going to try again. And I'm excited today to bring you a reaction video of me performing 8 years ago and to teach you what I did wrong so that you can learn from my mistakes so that you don't make them. But one of the most celebrated videos that I had on this channel were me performing an interactive experiment with the viewers at home. So I'd like to start this one with an interactive experiment. It's a rather simple one, and it's one that will work on most of you at home. I'm going to transmit into your head the identity of this playing card. So if you want to play, there's a couple of rules. Firstly, you've got to pay attention to what it is that I say, because if you don't pay attention, this definitely won't work. I want you to sit with your feet flat on the floor and listen carefully to what I say. So I want you to think of the value of a playing card, ignore the suit. And now if you're thinking of a number, I want you in your head to change to a picture, and if you first thought of a picture, change to a number. And the reason I'm having you change is this: the chances of you even being close on this out of the gates is very slim. So we're applying what they call counterintuition. It's the idea if we go with the exact opposite of what you first thought of, then we're probably going to be a lot closer to the actual card in the end. Now if you're thinking of a number, change to any other number you want. And if you're on a male court card, change to a female. Anywhere else, just stick. So now you've got a value inside your head. I want you to think of the suit that you feel best fits this value. Have you got a card in mind? If you're close, if you're just off by the suit, we'll count this as a hit. How did you do? Let me know in the comments what card you got. So anyway, the aim of today's video is to show you almost a reaction to one of my old performances. I'm going to look at it retrospectively, talk you through the things that I think went wrong. I watched the first 30-40 seconds of this earlier and I was mortified. So it's going to be an interesting experience. This is a video called S4 Films. It's called the Peter Turner Experience. It's on YouTube. It was uploaded by a friend from Bradford. I asked them to remove the video a number of years back and they outright refused. And I'm glad that they did it now, because now I can access it and I finally got to a point where I feel I can dissect it. So let's roll the video, and I'm going to be stopping this throughout so that we can dissect the sections as we go through. So I quite like the introduction, the title's nice.
If I asked you if you were right-handed or left-handed, whichever? Laura?
Out of the gate, I mean, you heard the sound there, it goes... It's got this horrible hiss. And one of the greatest things that I ever learned is that you can watch a video that's bad quality if the sound's good, but you cannot watch a video that's good quality with bad sound. So firstly, if you're going to film your own videos, invest in a decent sound system. It's most important.
Laura? Left-handed, fantastic. So, right-handed, left-handed, great. So?
I'm chewing gum. You know, when you want to talk and come across as coherent or elegant, don't have things inside your mouth. That's a big no-no, and I should have known better. Don't quite know what I'm wearing, so I'm just intrigued. I think I know what period of my life this is. I've got this horrible sideburn.
I'm going to show you something a bit strange based on human behaviour, and something that I've noticed based on human behaviour. Now, what I'd like you to do, Ranch, is 50-50. There's two people here. By process of elimination, just point to one of the people. Fantastic. Your choice completely.
It's just craziness. When you're filming something, one rule that's really important is be quick. Be really, really quick. Get to who you're selecting fast.
This is going to sound strange. I'm going to ask you to do something that you've got to follow me. Okay, I'm not going to lay you down or do anything daft for you. I want you just to look at me and pass me your hands. I want you to relax. And when I pull, you let your eyes come forward and your head relax. Look at me. Just relax. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. You just relax. Now.
It should have literally have been, "Hi Lauren, do you mind if I try something with you? Cool, are you left or right-handed? Pass me your left hand." Should have taken the left hand. Look right at me, I just want you to do this. Boom, you're down, you're asleep. You're done in 15-20 seconds there, and this whole process of messiness. And as well, you know, the camera doesn't seem to know where to film, and that's my problem. As a performer, you've got to remember one thing, and it's this: if somebody's filming you that's never filmed magic before, they don't know what to capture. So you've got to almost think about what the best angle is to sit at for the camera to capture everything. And this is certainly not it. I'm standing up, I'm moving around, the camera's moving around my back, it's horrific.
Can you write with your right hand? No. No, okay. In a moment's time, what I want you to do is imagine visually travelling back to your childhood. Okay, you travel back to your childhood, and when you were in nursery, I want you to imagine that you'd broken your left arm.
Again, I should have never have mentioned at this point that somebody's broken an arm, or should have never mentioned that they injured themselves in any way, shape or form.
See yourself in a pot, you've broken your left arm, and you couldn't write with your left arm. So you pick up a pen, and you start to learn to write with your right arm.
You don't write with your right arm, you write with your right hand. And it's terrible watching this, but what I should have done instead of that, to dampen the situation there and still create the same experience, I should have asked her to imagine going back in time, and instead of picking a pen up with her left hand, to imagine that you just felt comfortable holding the pen in her right hand. And now what happens is I'm sort of pushing that feel of comfortability, and instead of you broke your left arm, it's sort of a negative connotation. After already saying I'm not going to be laying you down, I'm not going to be doing this, it's just negative, 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 and that's not good for camera. You want to portray a positive experience unless you're wanting to create some sort of drama or tension, which I'm not in this sort of effect.
You pick it up and you join the dots up with your right arm, and all of a sudden you never learnt to write with your left arm, you only ever used your right arm. So when I tell you to open your eyes in a few seconds and I ask you to write on the pad the cat sat on the map with your right arm, you'll be able to do that absolutely perfectly. But if I ask you to do it with your left hand, you'll no longer be able to do so, not if you understand. When I count from 1 to 5, you'll bring yourself round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fantastic. How do you feel? So, you happy to try this out?
Yeah.
I'm asking her if she wants to try it out. You know, I've already asked that right at the beginning. So all I'm doing here is I'm just re-asking a question that's really an irrelevant question, and we're 2 minutes 14 into a video. And whilst you're watching this, I've probably fast forwarded some of it to condense it down to really give you the key points of what I should have changed in performance, and then I'll sum it all up at the end anyway. You know, it's got to be quick. This should have been a quarter to half of the time. It should have been, "Hi Lauren, nice to meet you. Do you want to try something out? Yes. Which is your dominant hand? Can you write with your non-dominant hand? No. Put you to sleep. Imagine going back in time. Imagine this, this, this and this. Wake up." Done. Should have been done in that amount of time. When you're filming something, it's not like live. When you're performing live, and this is a real interesting thing, you could be an incredible live performer and capture everybody's attention. And then when you put it on film, it looks terrible. But once you learn how to film your performance and cut the fat out, that translates to live really well. So it only translates one way, which is a really interesting thing that I found.
Set this in there. Take the pen in your right hand. And what I want you to do for me, does it feel comfortable? Yeah. I want you to write the cat sat on the map, nice and neatly across.
There's one little thing that I like that the editor's done here, and I don't know who the editor was. Maybe it was the same guy that filmed, but underneath the bottom of Lauren's hand, they put Lauren is left-handed. I do like that because it's a visual reminder for the audience, just in case either A, they've just tuned in, or B, they've lost track of what's going on. It just reminds them. The main problem is, if Lauren's picking up a pen in her right hand and she's left-handed, it'd be cack-handed, they call it. And I'd put more process there into the visual of her grabbing the pen.
I want you to write the cat sat on the map, nice and neatly across there.
I'd have probably as well, looking at this now, gone with the inverse. I'd have had us start by trying to write with her left hand. Hold the pen with the right hand, get it to feel comfortable. Hold it with your left hand now and you'll notice that it starts to feel uncomfortable, like it just doesn't belong. In fact, now try to write using your left hand. So you get the messy writing first and then you get your revelation, which is your confirmation of the right hand writing, which would have been a much more interesting way to end this.
Do the same thing with your left hand, but what will happen is that you won't be able to do it properly.
Right.
Does that feel comfortable?
No.
food in the background, just plates of chips. You know, think about your shot, think about what you want to see. Cinematographers, good cinematographers, I'm not saying that this guy's a bad one, they find a good angle. And what's really great about good cinematography is you can shoot a performance facing this way, so you've got these shop fronts or this end of a building, and then you can shoot that way, this way, and this way. And what happens is you can create 4 locations from one spot. So it looks like you've moved even though you've not. And sometimes if you're on a pressured shoot that's very time conscious, that's a good way to get 4 locations out of one location, or as many as you can that look good. I mean, the visual on the pad's a really lovely visual. I mean, I'd have chosen a different pad. I'd probably, if I were going to do this now, I'd have picked somebody that was a handwriting major or somebody that worked in a pen shop or something like this, because then it gives a depth to the actual performance. Maybe somebody who teaches people how to write. Imagine finding somebody who does calligraphy, or finding somebody that studies lexicology, you know, the study of letters, and doing it with them. This would have been such an interesting concept for somebody like that. But, you know, it seems a little bit wasted here, but it doesn't matter.
Perfect display of how it is to change human perception. But what I want you to do for me now...
And also, you know, I noticed how I had to write the full sentence out. I'd have stopped her after I noticed the cat, because it looked very messy, and that's a beautiful visual. And I didn't need to keep going. I kept going there just to gild the lily, and I didn't need to. 3 minutes and 43, hardly worth it to produce that effect. There were no visual induction. It had no context. It wasn't in a pen shop with a calligrapher. I'm chewing gum. The camera doesn't know what to film. The revelation were the wrong way around. You know, like, looking at it, I mean, that's the first one. Looking at that performance, it was shocking, it was terrible. And a little bit disheartening that I were that bad and I didn't see it at the time. The clothing that I were wearing, God, I must have been going through a midlife crisis. I look older in that video than I do now 8 years later, which is a crazy, crazy thing. So I want to sum up a few things that's really important. If you want to become good on camera, then watch news anchors. News anchors go out live every single day. They don't have cuts in the footage. They're not editing bits out. Their pacing is perfect. And when it comes to the real meat and veg of performance, they are true veterans. And they don't go and and or, that horrible series of noises that your voice makes, which, you know, I so eloquently did here so many times. The old performance was horrific. It wasn't steady. The camera was moving. I always lock one camera up or have one static camera and then somebody to come in and move around, and then we'll shoot pickups afterwards. And that means that you get this elegant piece of footage and the sound is always good. In that, I didn't really know what I was saying. And because I didn't know what I was saying, it didn't come out as well as it should have come out. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. When you're watching your Derren Browns, when you're watching your high-end performers, people that you watch and you think, wow, these guys are great. Sometimes they're coming up with the effects an hour, 2 hours before they go to shoot, and then they go out and shoot them, or sometimes off the cuff they'll perform something. And the reason that they look so good is because they've practiced the fundamental foundations of being good on camera and talking on camera and pacing and knowing exactly what they need to say at exactly what time. Now, that's not to say that all the time they've not planned what it is that they're doing, because they do. They do big board meetings where they sit there with the production companies and go through everything and they sign off on it. They storyboard storyboard everything. Sometimes what you tend to find though is that you're running and gunning and you need to come up with something quick on the spot because something's not happened or it hasn't happened the way that you wanted it to happen, and you have to just go and perform. This was not one of those performances. This was supposed to be a relaxed, easy, comfy context, and I still managed to be so bad. Here's a few tips that I think that you'll get a lot from. The first tip is this: choose what you're wearing carefully. That's the first thing. Think about what it is that you're going to wear on camera, because that performance is going to be played back over the years, and you'll look back and you might think to yourself, what was I thinking? Now, I always try to pick neutral colours, so black, grey. I don't really wear white, and the reason that I don't wear white is because if the white balance is off on the camera, it ends up looking yellow, mucky, tea-stained, so I don't bother wearing white, or I very rarely wear white. And if I am going to wear white and I'm sat in a comfortable environment, the white balance will always be set based on the t-shirt, so that I know if anything, the t-shirt's going to look white. But that's, that's by the by, that's down to your cinematographer. So plain clothing, try not to get anything with labels on it, because what you don't want is you don't want to have to blur those labels out or mess about having to blur them out if this stuff ever gets aired on a big channel. Secondly, make sure that you've planned what it is that you're going to do. Think about it. Don't just the day before go, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Sit and really think about what you're going to say, what you're going to do, and how you're going to get there as quickly as possible. Record yourself in a situation like this one, where you just sat talking to the camera, and it's eloquent, it's easy, and you're not having to force it. And then what happens is look back at your performance and cut out the words that are not needed. You don't need all the things that you're going to say. If your voice is like mine, like I say mine, it's I've got this horrible northern accent. And so sometimes when I'm saying the letter A, it sounds like it's one of those horrible sounds again. So I find words that replace words that have horrible sounds in, that are the same, so that my voice sounds as nice as possible when it's coming across, and my delivery is much nicer. So that's that. Think about the location. Don't just sit in a cafe or your kitchen sink. Think about where you're filming this. The location is key. Find a nice booth. Find somewhere that's quiet, there's not loads of traffic. Find somewhere that looks good on camera. Try to put a backlight up, here I put the lamp on and a couple of candles. I know it's daytime, but it just makes it pop a little bit and it makes the depth seem a lot greater. Find a good participant. You're going to want to shoot the same thing time and time and time again. Don't just go with the first take. That's another big problem. When I was working with Keith Barry, we'd say that we were going to film something a number of times, and then we were going to choose the ones that work the best. And the reason for that is that you can then at that point decide which ones you liked. Somebody might freak out, somebody might scream, another person might be stunned silent, and you've got to decide which of those visually and audiologically look the best. So we've talked about locations, we've talked about the clothing, we've talked about not filling your mouth with stuff, thinking about what you're going to say, choosing the right participant. We've talked about cutting time down. Another thing that's very, very important is when you're shooting, if you're shooting on more than one camera, if you're shooting on one camera, this rule does not apply. If you're shooting on more than one camera, when the girl's writing on the pad, get your second camera to film it afterwards, or get her to rewrite it, and then cut it in. Find the angle it looks nicest at. All that means is that you're going to have a clean shot of that, not a camera that's wandering about and then it comes to it. If I'm dealing playing cards like this onto a table one at a time, and you can't see this table or you can't see what I'm dealing, it really doesn't matter, because imagine a nice clean shot coming from the same angle you are, closer to me dealing these cards down. It only takes 2 seconds to say to the participant after you've finished, do you mind just redealing the cards for me? It'll only take 2 seconds, thank you for your time, and be really thankful. Sometimes they'll say no, and then, in that case, you're going to have to use your wandering shot, capture it anyway. But most of the time they'll say yes, and then you get this really nice clean visual of the cards being dealt down and stop. Now it cuts back, and just all the moments that you think are pinnacle moments in the performance that you're filming, shoot as a pickup. If somebody's writing something on a pad, just say, do you mind if you just write a couple of more random things and I'll film, and then film them profile and get a really nice close-up of them and just cut it in afterwards. It's not a camera trick, because it doesn't change the effect, it doesn't change the experience that they've experienced, but what it does is it helps translate that experience that they felt to the people who are watching this when you're breaking the fourth wall. And that's ultimately important. So we talked about pickup shots. And now there's this, is confidence. Confidence in what it is that you're performing. If you come across as underconfident and you come across as you don't know what you're saying, you're always going to have a sort of feeling of this is not good when you're watching it back, or when anybody else is watching it back, they're going to think this guy's not very good, or this girl's not very good, or, you know, this person's not very good. And that all comes down to just being yourself, but being confident in what it is that you're talking about. If I'm talking about playing cards, for example, and I'm talking about somebody taking a playing card, I might try to make it interesting the way that they're selecting a card, but be confident in it. You know, if I look confident, I spread these cards, just take one out and I just sort of sit back. I don't have a care in the world at that point. And the more carefree that I seem, the more confident I come across. So, this were almost a reaction video to me watching back an old piece of footage, but hopefully there's a few points in there, and I've kept this under 10 minutes so that you could take away from this a few different things and a few different ideas, and it helps you with your performances, and that's the key aim. So guys, thank you for tuning into this video. I know it's short, but we'll be back again with another video in the next couple of days. Take care.